attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru's show here. Now, this, sadly, is going to be taking the place of 682. I flipped a coin, and this won. So, I guess 682 is going to go back into a voting poll whenever I do another one. Now, with that being said, after I upload this, I'm going to be trying to go back to Reality Bender and focus on that one for hopefully a minute. That series is actually very difficult whenever you have a lot of creativity to go with it. Now, let us begin. Not with Izuku Midoriya, however. Let us begin with the governments of the worlds. With everything going on with the hero situation and quirks, there was a startling discovery made during the first generation of quirk users. And this discovery was kept under wraps. In fact, you could say it was even lost. The file stating something happening at a dig site. A current project that they had and wanted to establish. Now, during the first generation of quirk users, this is whenever the project started. And at the dig site they did find the thing, frozen in a block of ice. And instead of getting the thing out of the ice it was sitting in and taking it inside like a stupid decision, they left it in there and waited out the winter. You know, like something a smart person would do. That's my one issue with this whole movie. Really, it is. But anyways. Now, after taking it to an undisclosed location, this is whenever more of the quirk situation began to become apparent. While one singular country was focusing on this discovery, time began to pass by, and more startling things were learned about it. Eventually, the file was passed around. An unknown alien creature. And exactly what they've uncovered underneath the ice. A spaceship. Now, all of the countries of the world in Izuku Midoriya's time and or around it, they're all trying to learn things about this. And well, knowing that an alien threat might exist, or is at least plausible, since is one of the instances they've had dealing with this thing, they've found out that the idea of alien life and possibly an alien invasion is not too far-fetched. Especially since some of the scientists they've had to study the technology over the centuries, or the past 2 or 3, yeah. They stated that they believe that the alien species this thing was inhabiting, and or is, it may have actually been an intruder on the vessel. And they've begun to experiment with it. They do keep it frozen in ice. And they simply just take blood samples from it. And begin to try research. They're thinking that in case an alien species does ever try to invade, they might use some form of airborne toxin and or airborne strain of a virus. Something that their native species would find harmless. However, it could be potentially toxic and or lethal to humanity. So they wanted to study the white blood cells of this creature, study its DNA, its simple makeup, what type of air it could breathe, what type of anything it can do. And they make startling discoveries. Now, this research project was only around for the first 2 generations. I want to say roughly about 30 to 60 years. The entire project was focused on making a vaccine, and it was seen as actually somewhat successful in the trial run. They didn't really get past very many things, and through the numerous amounts of breakouts and, well, things they've had to go through, they've isolated something about these creatures. Whenever they injected a small portion of this vaccine they thought they created into a mouse rat, or a house rat, my bad, or simply a, well, mouse, they found that the mouse showed no real change. However, whenever left seemingly unobserved, things began to change with it. It began to try and escape its enclosure. And yeah, going over the footage as to how that thing got out and breached their containment was not pretty. In fact, the thing was trying to run, and they had to seal down the facility, sealing down this level of a CDC project, and being able to torch this thing. One of the researchers did get infected. However, he was simply bit, and things quickly spun out of control, until eventually they could recontain it. And this happened multiple times through multiple instances, throughout a 60-year span, finally being disbanded whenever the next president stepped into office. And the countries shared this information. However, within the last generation, the project has seemingly been revived, along with possibly this monster. They believe that they've finally figured it out. They've had simple things happen. They simply thought that making a vaccine or a cure, possibly, would be too far-fetched an idea with the current technology. However, this is future technology. Anyways, now, with that being said, scientists and many other people began to actually look into this more. The current technology in Midoriya's generation and/or a little bit before it kind of makes every other technology from the people who used to research this thing look completely obsolete. Now, with that being said, the brightest minds in the entire world, all being put into one single place. And for the past year, they began to research and observe more and more, trying to simply understand what they need to do and how to do it. Now, this project used to simply be about trying to protect citizens of one country. However, now is it about protecting humanity, especially because of the unknown threats, the threat of the unknown, something that will scare anyone and/or anything. You could look outside your window, and as long as the sunlight is there, you won't have to worry about what's standing outside, if there is anyone. However, there's darkness, and there's also fear, human emotions that make you hesitate, slow down, and some of the researchers are doing just that. They've simply, using current technology, decided to try and, without scientific terms, I'm basically going to try and keep scientific terms out of this, the way I phrase it, but if it sounds very difficult to understand, just know I watched a video about it, how you could beat the thing, and he basically said it's basically like it's a supercell, basically a cell that is giant, and it's completely covered in thorns. If this were to pierce one of your other cells at the, well, microscopic level, then it would simply be able to infect you, as if it was the flu or another virus, a form of disease. And the project is currently aimed at creating an antivirus to fight against the thing. And their first test is run and done. They made a leap in technology. Sure, they had to create a completely new virus, but it was able to fight against this organism, this thing. Now, with that being said, they tested out. Testing on mice and other animals, sadly to say, do prove to show results. The animals are healthy and are not prone to becoming sick. And observations, that is what they can see. That's what they can tell. They simply act no different from their environments. And then, there is what happens in the first human trial. They have a man who, he is volunteering. It was quite simple. He either dies from lethal injection or takes this strain. If the negative effects do appear, he will be murdered anyways. And he is quite aware that this is something to do with the virus. Yeah. He doesn't really have much of a choice. There's at least a slim chance of him living from this. Now, things do go according to plan. The man receives the injection, and he does not react negatively at first. Now, within 1 hour, they quickly find that the man, he was thrown into cell death. His body and his cells begin to die at a very rapid rate. And this is where everything began to change. One thing that the scientists did not factor in, let alone even try and calibrate or think about, a cork gene. How much of your DNA is still technically human? The one problem with it is that if you are able to receive a cork gene and this genome throughout an entire lifetime, you could say, of testing, they find nothing. Without being able to calibrate to a cork gene, it's basically useless on 80% of the population. Now, they've been trying to test it on multiple different quirks over and over and over again. And then they finally decide to give up. Most of the older generation, yeah, they're either too far gone or have already died. And being quirkless, that's not very common anymore. They need someone who is young, healthy, and will be able to meet a certain criteria, not have a quirk. And they begin to investigate. Now, meanwhile, we have Azuka Midoriya, who has been going through life normally. He has found out that he is quirkless. He has found out how the world works. People see him as nothing more than a person to protect. That's it. However, he's grown to somewhat hate them. He's grown to somewhat despise them. And he's been trying to look it up. If there's any way he can get a quirk, any way it can be transferred, passed down, anything. And yikes. No results. It's not a thing that's possible. There might have been a quirk like that existed, but what? Did they die? What happened to that quirk? Midoriya is simply just wondering, as today he is on his way home. And well, whenever he does get home, he does try and research it, wondering if he can simply get a power, become a hero, then people would stop seeing him that way, and his life would actually somewhat be nice. Then he could probably get into UA, become a very good hero, and do whatever he wants, really. He can hold up to All Might's integrity and his attitude. He can be the next symbol of peace. That being the idea running through his mind. Now, with that being said, Midori has been looking into this, and he is currently around the age of 14, around the beginning of the anime. And this is whenever Midoriya, you finally find something. A company has, well, launched a bit of a project. They're looking for someone. They said that they want to make an experiment. They believe that they've isolated a way to, well, give someone a quirk. And they need a willing test subject. Now, Midoriya, he looks into it a bit more, and is unaware of what is actually going on. A secret government project. They're going to make Midoriya immune. If they can make him immune, then they can silently make this 20% of the population immune, and save humanity. If an alien threat ever does pop up, then they can simply keep the peace by having people be aware that they are immune. And this will help their people survive and maintain peace for a while, until they're able to organize and plan their own attack against these possible aliens. Meanwhile, you do have Midoriya, who, as soon as he heard about this project, he jumped on it. And he simply asked his mom. Now, she wasn't too keen on it. The idea of Midoriya simply having an experiment put on himself, that's not a good idea. Think that there could be drawbacks or effects that happen. And Midoriya doesn't really care. He sees it as he can get a quirk. And he simply applies. In fact, he was one of the only persons who applied. Now, many people looked into seeing if they can get their quirks taken away, since some of them are odd, and or, well, they don't really want them anymore. They've been extra things. Like, imagine, why did that pop up in my head? Your quirk is basically just an extra mouth that at 3 a.m. will scream for cheese. Why is that the first thing that popped into my head? Jesus. Okay, that's a thing. I need a minute. Okay. Is this still pretty funny to me? I hope some of you guys are laughing. But anyways, now. Midoriya applied for it, and since he was one of the only quirkless candidates, they immediately got into contact with him, and simply just asked him exactly if he would like to participate. Him jumping the gun and just basically screaming out yes over the phone. Simply just beginning to run through questions and answering them. Midoriya is simply just asking exactly what type of quirk what can he get, and what type of abilities he may have. Some of the people there simply just not aware of what they could really tell him, let alone say. Now, with that being said, you do have behind the scenes. The monster, the thing. His cells, you could say. His ability to self-replicate. Now, this virus that they have made to contain him isn't all that good either. And, well, let's just say this. Before they experimented on a quirkless person, the animals begin to show signs. They are healthy, yes, but after Midoriya's injection, the animals begin to act stranger and odd. They begin to show off abilities, they thought, randomized quirks. However, they found that these exact instances are exactly what happened during the first few generations. And I believe that this would be a good point to leave this off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. If I sounded too overcomplicated with it, oh wait, this is not what I was going to use. Oh crap. Anyways, now, if I sounded too complicated with the science thing about it, it kind of is complicated, even I don't really understand a lot of it. But that is, I believe, real life science at work. Anyways, well, someone's probably already commented this. This is going to be a villain series. Now, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. Catch you guys in the next part.